Okay, so I know that the concept of throw a lot of grenades isn't exactly new to our friendly neighborhood Warlock mains, but I've put together something that's been so much fun to play that I just had to share it. Just watch how I am absolutely cooking these Overload champions in today's Lost Sector. I was able to get a few clears in that were just over 3 minutes, making farming out a few exotic engrams incredibly easy. You'll also notice that after we throw our grenade, it often comes back before the last one has even disappeared yet. It all starts with our new exotic class item, Solipsism. I know, the class items are a bit of a grind, and there's a bit of a controversy going on right now in the build crafting world, and I'm certainly not here to pick sides. That said, if you've been struggling to get your hands on the class item in the first place, come on over to my Twitch stream. I'd be more than happy to help you get through Dual Destiny for your first time. Now that shameless plug is out of the way, let's dive in. Today's class item role is going to have Spirit of Osmiomancy in the first slot. Your grenades charge quicker on hit. This is really the only part that matters, since we won't be using cold snap grenades. There's actually a lot of other roles that this build could work with, and if you really don't want to deal with the class item farm, which, trust me, I get you, you could get away with using a solid Osmiomancy gloves roll and you'd still have a lot of fun. I actually have another version of this build where I'm running Nova Bomb with a Star Eater scales drop, and let me tell you, that one's a good time too. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that this is not the first build video that most of you are watching, and so I'm guessing that you can probably guess that we're going to be starting with Feed the Void. Defeating a target with any ability grants Devour and also helps recharge our grenades. This is really great for survivability, as Devour is going to heal us anytime that we kill an enemy while it's active. Further, killing enemies extends the duration of Devour, meaning that it only gets better the harder the content gets. This is going to play really nicely with our first fragment, Facet of Sacrifice. While Devour is active, ability final blows grant Darkness Transcendent energy. Now, with the exception of our melee and maybe a weapon depending on what you choose to run, we don't really have much darkness damage in this build, so this is really nice for making sure that we can also activate Prismatic pretty much anytime that we want it. We're also taking Facet of Hope, which recharges our class ability anytime we have Devour up as well. Still not enough survivability for you? Don't worry, there is more coming. We're also taking Facet of Protection, which gives us damage resistance whenever we're near enemies. I don't know if you've played Destiny, but we're pretty much always surrounded by enemies when we're in high level content. This is really just the icing on the cake for all of this sweet Devour synergy that we've got going on. Now, we're going to be running Vortex Grenade here, and for a whole lot of reasons. For starters, it's super useful for crowd control because it pulls enemies towards the center when it lands. It also does damage over time. And the number of times I've watched an ad walk directly into the grenade after it's already down and actively doing damage is pretty hilarious, to be honest. And in combination with our next fragment, Facet of Dominance, it's going to weaken everything that it touches. Also, this season, or episode, I guess, we have a couple of perks that come into play here as well. First, we have Void Hegemony. Defeating weakened targets provides a small overshield. So anything that we kill that's been touched by our grenades is going to give us a free Void overshield, which is going to give us even more survivability on top of everything we've already talked about. Then we have Expanding Abyss. Void sources deal increased damage to weakened targets. So now our grenade does even more damage to everything it touches because all of the enemies inside are already weakened by default. And remember, as long as you're hitting your grenade throws, you're pretty much always going to have it up and ready to go. The first few runs I did testing this build, I actually forgot to equip these on my artifact, so you can imagine my surprise at just how much stronger I was when I went back in with them toggled on. Our next aspect is Hellion. Activate your class ability, I recommend either Healing Rift or Phoenix Dive, depending on your preferences, to summon a solar mortar that lobs projectiles at targets and scorches them. This thing does a ton of damage and it really helps when the ad density gets going. It's also just a lot of fun. Go little man, go. Do your thing. Our melee is going to be Arcane Needle. I like this one because not only does it have multiple charges, making it more likely that I'll have one whenever I see a red bar enemy to activate Devour, but it also unravels the target that it hits, giving us even more damage over time on top of our Void Grenade and our Hellion turret. And given that we have 3 charges, it also pairs so nicely with our last fragment, Facet of Dawn. Powered melee hits grant Radiant, and powered melee kills grant you and your allies Radiant. This gives us an extra 25% damage across the board, pretty much whenever we need it. That brings us to the second half of our build, which is admittedly incredibly simple, but also incredibly fun. The next perk on our class item is Spirit of Harmony. Final blows with weapons that have a damage type matching your equipped super's element grant super energy. Our equipped super for this build is going to be, you guessed it, Song of Flame. In my opinion, this is one of, if not the best super in the game right now. While Song of Flame is active, you and your nearby allies regenerate abilities more quickly, are more resistant to incoming damage, and your solar and kinetic weapons scorch targets. It also makes your weapons radiant, meaning that this is a beast for both barrier and unstoppable champions, and with our paired exotic weapon will be absolutely devastating against overloads as well. I haven't been able to find a verifiable number anywhere, but I keep seeing people online say that it gives you anywhere from like 50 to upwards of 90% damage reduction, which is just absolutely insane. Our exotic weapon that we're going to pair with it has been around for a long time, but Sunshot continues to be a really strong pick that's a ton of fun, and since we need one that matches our super, I don't think there's a better option. This thing absolutely cooks, and on every single kill, including the ones that you get through Sunshot's perk Sunblast, charges up our super stupid fast. We are consistently able to get our super, which has a base timer of 9 minutes and 16 seconds, in just a minute or two. Further, as long as we kill something with either our grenade, our melee, or our Hellion turret, we'll have Devour up, meaning that all of those kills will charge both our light and darkness transcendent energy. So what does our gameplay loop really come down to then? Well, step 1, kill any red bar that you can find with your melee, granting you Devour and Radiant. Next, throw your Vortex grenade at either the biggest enemy that you see or a group of small ones. Then you'll be shocked as you probably already have your grenade back while you are absolutely cooking other ads with Sunshot to charge your super and Transcendence. And you can just continue to throw your grenade at will, pop your super or even Transcendence if you need it, because you're pretty much going to always have at least one of them. Our mods are pretty straightforward and just going to play into everything that we've covered above. I'll throw them on the screen, or you can check the link in the description for a Mobalytics guide with a dim link to easily import it into your own game with just a few clicks. On our helmet, we'll be taking a pair of solar siphons and ashes to assets. This will give us a silly amount of orbs to make all of our abilities come back even faster, as well as charge our super with every single grenade throw. On our gloves, we'll be taking 3 copies of firepower, granting us even more orbs for more recharge. Your chest piece is really going to be up to you. I usually take flat damage resistance mods and or concussive dampener depending on the activity. On our boots, we'll be taking recuperation for some extra survivability considering all of the orbs that we'll be making, along with innervation and absolution to charge our abilities with every orb that we pick up as well. Finally, on our class item, we're taking Outreach, Bomber, and Reaper. We should have our class ability back really fast already because of Facet of Hope, and this makes it so that every time that we use it, not only do we get our Hellion, but we're also recharging our other abilities too. I hope you all have as much fun with this one as I do. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, come say hi to me on Twitch, and leave a comment below with what you're using this build for, other builds that you'd like to see, or if you've got ideas on how you'd make this one even better. I hope you have a great rest of your day, or don't. I'm not your dad.